So for those that are okay, for those that are online that have not been hearing me, so what I was saying in the end is that when you want to work with data, first thing you have to do before you do data cleaning is to duplicate. After that, then you want to start your cleaning. Then before you do the cleaning, like I said, you have different methods. The one I prefer is actually the one I'm going to actually use to take you guys. So other people prefer other methods entirely. So now what you do when you have a data like this, you look at your data. Then another thing, before you start your cleaning, ensure you have your questionnaire by your side. Your questionnaire by your side. It could either be hard copy or soft copy. If the soft copy, like the online ones, you can open it on your phone and what you make sure you have it by your side. Why? Because when you are the data cleaning you want to do, you want to ensure that okay, each of the variables, is there any missing spaces or missing data there? Then for convenience, you need what? You need something that you can be using as a reference, and that is your questionnaire. So when my colleague was explaining encoding data in the previous session, so he actually used different methods anyway. Like I was able to actually pick from his own aspect as well. So look at my own now. Look at the variable here. Here we have age, gender. Okay, sorry. Actually, the first one, this particular age one, I just included it there. It's not supposed to be there. There's something I want to use it for. But the actual data starts from gender. So just ignore this first one. The first variable here. So the actual data the actual variable start from gender, age, tribe, like that. So my colleague explain to you how you can use another method which involves using Q1, Q2, Q2. So it depends. It depends on the way you find it so convenient. And at the same time, under the missing, you can see my own is none. So I didn't include any 99. So all these things about what preference. What is very important is how are you able to work with the data, and how are you able to get a good result at the end of the day. And to be able to do that is to have a successful data cleaning. Now, going by this data view now, so look at it. So I'm trying to scroll down, because the first thing you do, you scroll down, that's from up down, to know the total data that you are going to work with. That's 300, right? Then you also scroll from left to right, so to know the end. And when you are doing this, you ensure you have your questionnaire by your side, like I said, so that you'll be able to go along with the variables. So though I've included different variables here, all this knowledge, attitude, practice, they are not included. So all these are gotten from computation, which we are actually going to explain later using SPSS and at the same time using Excel. So this one, they are not part of the variable. So that one is gotten through computation. So like I said, now let's now go directly on how we clean the data. So for me, I prefer using analysis method. So you just come here, analyze, just click on analyze. Then I said if you want to clean the data, so you come here, you can see the cursor. So you go to analyze, click on analyze, then come to descriptive statistics, come to frequency, click on your frequency. Then, okay, let me come back again. Come to analyze, then descriptive statistics. Yes. Then come to frequency, click on frequency. Then you now be inputting or be what's it called, like be extracting all these variables into this particular space here. But instead of you doing that one after the other, just control A, like highlight all by pressing control A. When you press control, although you don't have this particular data set on your at your disposal, so you'll have been doing that, but just be following what I'm doing. So instead of you clicking on it one after the other, when you click gender, then you click this, you can see this, it will enter into the variable space. You click age, click this, it will enter into the, but doing this one after the other can take time. Just control A, just click on one, then control A, highlight all. Then don't forget, I don't need this first one, it's not there. So you can on highlight it, then you select this. So you have dragged everything into the space. Then the next thing you want to click on, so you can see display frequency tables. Display frequency tables. This is what we actually need. So just click on OK. So when the result comes out, then the next thing is you want to be checking this variable one after the other. Are they complete? Are you getting it now through this? So you start scrolling down one after the other. So you can come here, so that you'll be able to see it one after the other. You see gender, we have how many male? 143, female 157, age, we have it. Everything is in order. 300, then tribe, religion, continue like that. Then the the other part of the variables, we have what? Mosquito bites. Everything is complete. 300, you can see. Are we following? So you can see as I'm scrolling down, everything is complete. Then the Likert scale, you can see here we have, strongly agree, everything is intact. So you look at it one after the other. Why comparing to what? With your questionnaire, whether there's any missing what? Variables. Are we following? Because it's very, very important. Very, very important. So that's all. So now look at this one now. Okay, sorry. This one is not part of it, like I said. This level of knowledge. So this is where it ends. Do you either use, do you use either insecticide or ITN or both? So you can see it's what is intact. So now at the end of this, when you do this, and what you realize that at the end of the day everything is intact, that means there's no need for what? Going further cleaning your data. That means your data is what? Set, is complete. Are you getting it? So now what if you now have this one? Is actually a perfect data that I've already cleaned this one. Are you getting it? I've already cleaned it. That's why you have everything complete. So let me do something now. I'm coming. So yes, let's do it again. Let's go over it again. So we have the data. This is the data set. Let's go to analyze. Sorry, let me close the results. Let me close this. So we have the data set. So let's go over it. We come to what? Analyze. Frequency. Then let me reset. So the same way we did the other time, we drag everything inside. Okay, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. So then we select. So you ensure that the display frequency table is what? Is marked. Then you click OK. Eh? They are not part of they are not part of it. They are going through computation. So we do that later. So you click on OK. So now let's go over it again. Let's go over it. So you can see we have gender. In the gender, you see something there missing what? System. It shows there's a particular like in under your gender, there is space there that is missing. That's the meaning of what? All right. Sorry for the interruption. So as I was saying, we go back to the results. So unlike the first one, like I said, the first one, the data is already clean. That's why everything is intact. Look at this one now. Gender, you can see missing system. We don't supposed to have this missing system. So that when you go to another gender, there's a particular what? Data missing there. Now you have that. Then you go down like that. Go to the age. Age, it shows that there's also a what? A particular data missing under the age. The tribe, the same thing. Religion. Come to level of study. You can see how many is missing there? 2. So the marital status is what is intact. Now, this will tell you that you have to go over to your data set and do the needful by what? By making sure you fill all those spaces. Now, I want to tell you, if you are actually someone that maybe probably during the course of administering questionnaires, while you are maybe getting back to your questionnaires, you may experience some questionnaires not being filled completely. You get? So therefore, at the end of the day, how are you going to go about it? Now, let me tell you this. When you come across questionnaires that maybe probably it involves yes or no response, and in that case, those questions, they are not filled up. What just assume it is what? It is no. Are you with me? Assume it is what? It is no. If you come across questionnaires that has to do with yes or no response, and in that case, because you have to enter it. Because if you don't enter it, you have plenty of missing what? Data. And if you have plenty of missing data, what's the implication of that? That means at the end of the day, your sample size will not be what? Will not be complete. And you are working with incomplete. So, and that is not good in this case. You cannot what's called analyze an incomplete data. It's not advisable. Because there is something they used to say, baggage in, baggage out. You get nonsense at the end of the day. So what you have to do is to ensure that, okay, when you are entering, and that one, for those that would have been entering, maybe dealing with hard copy questionnaires. So you may come across some challenges like that. just ensure that okay, when you are entering the data into the SPSS, anyone that is not filled, assume it is what it is no. When you come across Likert scale, you have agreed, strongly agreed, neutral, disagreed. When you come across anyone that is not filled in that aspect, what do? Select what? Neutral. Are you getting it now? So that's how to go about it. This is just to avoid missing data. Yes. Okay, non-response rate. Yes, but you never can tell. The what's called the people you are going to administer questionnaires to, sometimes they just collect it. Some of them will not complete the feelings. There are some that might be personal to them. You just feel okay, but as a researcher, you cannot leave it what's it called, unanswered. You get, so you have to ensure that you do something to it. So yes, non-response rate is just for us to avoid any what's called an incomplete or sample size. But at the same time, you can still come across what situation whereby some questionnaires will not still be what completely filled. So you have to ensure that you do something to them, and by so doing, you have to make sure you feed them up. So now, so that's how you go about it. You keep going down. Then age. Now, in the case of age, what you now do is you look at the age that is actually that is predominant. You get, let's say maybe you have 20, like just average, just assume maybe 20, 23, 22. You can say okay, between like the average of this should be, let's say 21, just input 21. You understand? So I think that's a very good question, because you may have some questionnaires that may be probably age. Some people, they don't like indicating their age, especially if it's not age category. You get, so in that case, if it's empty, just look at the one that you've already filled. Are you getting it? So just look at it, the predominant age. Are you getting it? Let's say you have 20, 22, 23 as the predominant. So just look at the average, just assume by assumption. You get, just input. Yes, now, if you have marital status, religion, I will not lie to you. I will not lie to you, to be sincere. You can't be looking for all those people to feel their religion. What's religion, marital status. So you just have to make sure you fill in something. You get, but majorly you go with what? Most of the time, what I do is I go with majority. You get, though if I have some minority, like at a point you also need to be using your own insight. You get, you need to be using your own insight. Let's say in a class of ON level, let's say ON level medical students, now you expect that okay, in ON level you expect younger students to what, so you expect unmarried student to be there, and you are now seeing maybe plenty of married. You know that, or maybe probably they didn't feel it. You should know that in your mind, maybe probably this person is not married. Just put it there. So you assume some things based on the people that you are you are administering questionnaires to. You assume some things. So now, another thing I also tell you is how you organize your data cleaning. Organization of data cleaning is very important. How do you organize your data cleaning? Now I said it is very important you have the questionnaire by your side. Your questionnaire is divided into different sections. You have social demographic. Let's say you are dealing with knowledge, attitude, and practice now. Now you are going to have a section for social demographic, a section for what? For knowledge, section for attitude, section for practice. Just deal with it one after the other. Look at social demographic. Like this one now, we have gender, age, tribe, religion, level of study, market study. Deal with it first. Deal with it. So now, like this one now, we have under the social demographic, we have level of study. So you now go back. You go back to your what? To your data set. So gender, from our analysis, we realize that gender, there is what missing space in what in gender. Just go down. You keep looking at it. Yes, I will advise. Yes, it can be tedious going over it one after the other. But so far you have a particular what you already have variables where you have missing data. Then it will be easier for you. You can divide the screen into two. You can, if especially if you are using the updated window fashion by doing like this. So just when you divide into two like this, then you can be doing both corrections and checking for the ones that were the missing data pari passu. So like this one and gender. So just come to gender. So your down key, just you keep locating. This thing now, see, let me not lie to you. When you are working with data, if you spend much time with data, that's how you tend to know it more. That's how you tend to know it more. But and the better you know it, that's when you now spend little time. because if you are first working with data, you need to spend more time with it so I be able to know the in and out. So now coming to gender here, so that means most likely something has to be something has to be there. You can just feel in, maybe probably when you look at it randomly, you feel that there is much more female. Just select two because that is already coded. So two is your female, then your male is what is one. So then you keep going down. I think it's just one missing space that is under gender. So you go to H2. Under the H, you do the same thing. You come to H. You see, I will not lie to you, there are shortcuts, but I don't want to teach you that. All these things, you can get to know shortcuts on your own. There are some things that you know at your own disposal. Nobody will teach you. You understand? Go to YouTube, you know all these things. I don't want to tell you. So come to the H. H, you keep going down. Just keep going down. You see it. The space is already there. The shortcut is control F or that's control find. You see it, but I don't want to, all those things. When you go through it, one after the other, you know it better. Now for this one now, age. Look at this age now. Realize that okay, the age category that is actually predominant here is 21 to 23, right? Just let 21 to 23. So then you keep going down, okay? Then you keep going down. If there's any other missing space again, you fill it up. So I think we are done with that. Go to tribe, you do the same thing, then like that. Now, if you are working with hard copy, if you are working with hard copy questionnaire, to save yourself all this stress while you are entering the data. So when you see any missing space, assume, enter. You get. So when you are doing the data cleaning like this, you don't spend much more time. You get. So when you are doing data entry, you save yourself this stress. So any missing space you see, just fill it up. Yes, at the end of the day, you still what? You still need to clean. But by the time you are going to clean, it's going to be easier for you. You are not going to have many missing data at the end of the day. So it's advisable. So I think for data analysis, for data cleaning that has to do with hard copy questionnaire, that's the end of it. So if you have any question, you can ask. Now let's look at how you can clean an imported data. Yes, it's different. Online, because when you import data, it's different, it's quite different from what? From the one what you actually enter, you code and what you are, the one you code and what you are answering. Okay. So it's actually different. So now let's say you have so most of the online most of the online data sets, they actually want in spreadsheet format, either CSV or Excel. So what you do, just like how my colleague has explained in the previous session. So we import. So I want to import this data set. So let me import it. So now you can see it's already showing me the format on how it's going to come out. So let me click on okay, let me click on this. I'm going to okay. So then okay. So now look at this one now. This one is totally different from the one you enter. You can see it's totally different. So now for online data set is actually very very tedious to clean, because in that online data set, two things you do data cleaning, you also do data adjustment. You adjust. And how can you go about the adjustment? It's already been taught by my colleague in the previous session. So that's how you go about encoding data. You get. So you still do encoding data in the one that you imported in the imported data set. So now look at this one now. You can see this one. I don't need this one. This start and end is about timing. I don't need it. Just delete it. You delete this one too. So all this one, in fact, before I even go to analyze, I don't need to analyze anything here. I'll just come straight. I'll delete all those things that is not necessary before I will now come to what? To analyze. So when you now come to analyze will now show you. That's why I said you always make sure you have your questionnaire. When you have your questionnaires, any variable that you see is not applicable to your questionnaire, just delete it off. So whether it's online or you have it as a hard copy. So then I think that's about that. The another thing that's very important here is when you are dealing with multiple response questions. Multiple response questions. My colleague as well, I think, explained that you have to ensure that, let's say, maybe take for instance now, they ask which of the following conditions a patient has. Let's say the patient has hypertension, diabetes, like sickle cell disease. I mean, sorry, chronic kidney disease. So let's say the patient now what now tick all the three. It then means that all those three are what they are the what's it called they are the response of a particular what person. Now another person wants what like respond to the question. The person just tick only what only hypertension. For that person, just only what hypertension. So what I would just want to tell you is that you assume that hypertension is what is one entity, is one variable. Yes, is one variable. Diabetes is one variable. Then chronic kidney disease is also what one variable. Then the way you explained it in the previous class, you now put yes or no, yes or no. The people that have hypertension, they put yes, yes. The people that have diabetes, they surely put what yes, yes. So if they don't have, they don't tick anything. Now, at the end of the day, if it is an online, there is all of us, some of us, we know how what we create. I mean, we do Google, we create Google form. So we have multiple response. So when that comes, like when you see an online that's data set that involves multiple response, it's actually very tedious to deal with. At the end of the day, what I normally do is that look at this one now. We have school media. Maybe they ask, okay, which of how did you get to know about this? The person select school media, media present, school media, parents, healthcare provider, friends. You can see this is a multiple response. So what you are going to do is you make sure you create about 4 or 5 variables. You now make one as school, make one as social media, make one as parents, yes or no, like that. But how are you going to separate all this? Because when you are doing that, I mean, if you want to do that, you cannot do that with what? With your Excel. Yes, you can do it with the Excel if you are very confident with the Excel. But if you want to use SPSS, you see what? Yes, that particular one, I don't think we need to go into it because it's a bit tedious. And there's a particular formula I normally use in Excel. So anybody that needs that, maybe you should just DM me. If you have any challenges when it comes to that during the course of your maybe probably research work, you can meet me. I will send it because the formula is something that you use it in Excel. From the Excel, you now take it to SPSS. So when you have multiple responses, you can meet me later for that. So I think that's the head of what? Of data cleaning. So if you have any question, you can ask. So now let me just, while waiting for that, so let me quickly go to univariate analysis. So what do we mean by univariate analysis? From the name, univariate. That's variate is variable. Univariate means uni means one. Univariate means one variable. Analysis of variable independently. All the questions in the questionnaires, all of them individually, they are variable. They are what? Variable. So if we now say univariate in analysis, it means we are what? We are analyzing them individual, and that kind of analysis we call it descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics. That's for my own understanding. Yes, some people can, but for my own understanding, when you're talking about descriptive statistics, that to do with frequency and percentage of each of the what questions in the questionnaires, and those questions they are variables. They are variables. So now, how do you go about that? Still the same method. The same method. So these are data sets. So I'll come to analyze. You can see frequency again. The same way. Okay, that's why I said I use analysis to clean. They are saying that to analyze. So some people use different method for cleaning anyway. So you still the same result. So you see the result like this. Now, this is how the result will come out. When the result comes out like this, you cannot just say, okay, you want to copy all this into what? Into your Microsoft Word. Are you getting it? So you have to make sure that you have a format. So for every project, always have a format, always have a template that you're following. Even to the end of thesis, those that are writing postgraduate, they have a template. Even professors, they have a template that they are working with that will serve as a guide. So and not talk of undergraduate that are just coming up. So all you need is you have a template that you are working with. So I will show you a template now. So this is a template. So this is like I said, we have analysis section by section. You analyze your social demographic separately, you analyze your knowledge separately, attitude separately. So this is a typical example of social demographic analysis. This is a descriptive statistic, and otherwise you can call it univariate analysis. If your supervisor asks you univariate analysis, still the same thing. You are analyzing variables individually. You can see gender 143 percentage, another one age. So in this age, you can see I have mean age. Yes, when you have numerical data, always ensure that you have a mean and standard deviation. Descriptive statistics, when you are dealing with numerical data, you have to have it at the back of your mind that when you have numerical data, you ensure you have mean and standard deviation. Yes, numerical data, we have skewed and unskewed what numerical data. Numerical data can be skewed and can also be what unskewed. If they skewed, it means that okay, it is equally or normally distributed, meaning that their mean and the median, you find it at the center. When you draw this curve, what do you call it? Deep parabola, or so the mean and the median, what you see them almost at what I say. I think they taught us this during the course of our junior posting committee. So what am I saying again is that when you are dealing with a skew data, you use what for a summary of a discrete of what of a numerical data that is what normally distributed or is what is skewed. You what use mean and standard deviation. But if it's an unskewed data in the sense that you may have outliers. That's what we call outliers. Say for instance, now you're talking about what income. Maybe when you collect your data, so you are now seeing what maybe you have level of income. Some people you have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000. So you now realize that okay, in the course of your that's when you enter the data, you realize that 10,000, 20,000, they are more than, like, let's say 100,000. Let's say you have 100,000. You now have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 as what as the predominant income of the responses that you got. By the time you do the average of that one, you realize that the average you are going to be getting will be tilting towards what? Towards 10,000, 20,000, and 23,000. And whereby you have 100,000. So in that case, that's a very skewed data. So you don't use what mean and standard deviation. So what you use in that case is median and interquartile range. I will show you how to do that. So now, as I was saying, let's go back. Univariate analysis. So for social demographic data, you have this is a template now. You can see you follow this template. So this template will now guide you on how you are going to extract all this data. This social demographic data now. You have gender, age, tribe. So all you just need to do is what? You click on it, you copy. When I have my experience result like this, I call it raw. This is a raw result. What I do is I make sure I copy everything, take it to I make sure I copy everything like this. I take it to Microsoft Word. So in the Microsoft Word, it will be easy for me to copy and do some form of any manipulation I want to do. But in this case now, you cannot edit this one. If you want to edit it, it will be difficult. All you just need to do is copy everything, take it to your Microsoft Word. Then from the Microsoft, you can be picking it one after. All you just need to do is you divide your screen into two. So as you are working with your chapter 4, you have your raw data by the side, which is already in Microsoft Word. Then you'll be copying, pasting like that. So, like I said, univariate analysis has to do with what? With descriptive analysis of all the variables, and those are these variables are they are the responses that are in the questionnaires. So this one there is just the interpretations. So that one, I think my colleague maybe probably later will explain that. The interpretation is not hard anyway. If you want to interpret, for me, the way I interpret, like this table now, this table is too big for me. So all I need to do is to interpret it. If I want to interpret, I normally use, though it depends on the supervisor will tell you. Some supervisors might tell you use the highest and the lowest what's it called, response. Like this one now, in my age category here, the highest is what? Is the highest frequency is what? 24 to 26. And the lowest is what? Is 18 to 20. So in your interpretation, you just say, okay, the above table shows that the age category for the highest is what? Is 121. Then in bracket, 138 in bracket for 6.0%, and the lowest is what? Is 3 in bracket. So interpretation, in fact, you can use ChatGPT for interpretation. So I think maybe during the course of optimization, my colleague can actually explain that. So for univariate analysis, just now look at the knowledge now. For knowledge, look at how it is. But in your experience, it's not going to be like this. So it's not going to be like this. You be there that will not be, look at, okay, let me just divide it into two. So before my time runs done. So like this one, have you heard of malaria? Have you heard about malaria? So you can see the result here. So this one, like I said, is already in Microsoft Word. All you just need to do is you highlight it and paste it here. So look at the next one. How is malaria transmitted? We have mosquito bite. You can see I only use yes here. I know okay, yes, I use no as well. So contaminated water. So like that. So all these things you are seeing here is what? Is a univariate analysis. All these things you are seeing here is univariate analysis. Now, this one is different. Level of knowledge. In your questionnaire, there's no anything like level of knowledge. How do you come about level of knowledge? I Yesterday when I was presenting project writing tips, I told you that there's a connection between your specific objectives, your literature review, that's review of past study, and what maybe your analysis. If you want to actually do any form of analysis, you have to make sure you work along with your literature review. No, look at your literature review. What are those things stated there? Maybe your literature review, they stated that okay, with their own result, they get maybe so amount of level of knowledge. So in short, what I'm telling you this is why I'm telling you this is that when you are doing your literature will also be a guide for you to know what exactly the analysis you need to carry out. Yes, you have your specific objectives which you need to follow. Then you also need to also follow your literature review, which is the review of past studies. So you have this one too. So all these are what are so now this level of knowledge, we look at this one maybe in the next session, how we calculate this knowledge, level of knowledge. Then all this one they are Univariate. So this one too, we look at it in the next session. So then this one is what is it bivariate. So we look at this one later. So then lastly, before I round up, I said I was going to teach you how you can categorize age. When you look at this age now, this age is not in category, unlike this one. This one is already categorized. So this numerical data is not. So every numerical data you have to categorize them. Why? Because if you analyze this, the result that is going to come out, the table will be long. You see 20, 30 to be long. So what do you need to do? You need to what? You need to categorize. Then how do you categorize? So let me quickly show you. So to categorize, you come to transform. You come to visual binding. We have different way of categorizing anyway, but this particular one, I normally use it, especially for age. Then you select this age and you click on next. Then you continue. Then this one is already showing you the minimum age. The minimum age is 15. Why the maximum is what? Is 30. Then here you come to bin variable. You can type age of, let's say, respondent. So just like the way you do in name in the data entry. Then you come in, make points, make cut points rather, make count points. Click on it. So this one is asking you for the what? For the first cut point. Your minimum is 15. So here it is advisable that you use a figure that is below 15. That's for 14. You type 14. Number of points. Let's say I need let's say I need like 4 or 5. Let me type 5. Then the width, the interval, that's the interval. Let's say I need between 15 to 20. That would be like 5. Let me type 5. So you can see it has gone beyond what? Beyond the maximum. The maximum is what is 30. And this given us 34. Yes, it's okay. So if I type 4 here, it's 30. It's exactly 30. So that means let me just use 30 instead of what? Instead of let me just use 5 instead of what? Let me just use 4 rather here instead of what? 5. Because if I use 5, this width represents the interval. The interval. We have from 15. Let's say 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's like 6 interval. You get that's the meaning of width. Number of cut points is the number of categories that you want. So the next thing, so let me change it to 4. So the next thing you click on apply. Then you come to make labels. You can see in make labels now. It has indicated how your category is going to be, the age category is going to be. I don't need this first one because of time. When you watch the recording, you get a bit because of time. So you delete this first one. Let me delete it. So I only need this one, 15 to 18. Then I will now click on OK. You can see it's already created. I click on OK. I can come back if there is time. So now, let me come to the last data variable here. You can see it has been created, it has been generated. This is now the category you are going to use. So by the time you analyze this one will now come in category format that will be very short, unlike when you have it in when you have not categorized it. So let me come again. I said you come to what? To transform. Come to what? Visual binding. You click on age, which is the one you want to categorize. You click on continue. Then you can see the minimum is 15, maximum is what? 30. The B variable, you need to label it. Let me just type age, respondent. It has to be different from the actual name. Then you come to make cut point. You don't do anything. After this one, then the next is you come to this make cut point. Our minimum is what? Is 15, right? Then this first cut point means where do you want to start from? So we want to ensure that okay, we don't start exactly from 15. You go one figure below. That's 14. Then how many categories do you want to have? Maybe 4 or 5. Let's say 5. Then what is the interval that you need? Let's say I type what? 5. let's say I type 5. You can see the last cut point. It's showing what? 34. And 34 is what is the maximum is 30 anyway. So you can leave it at 34, or you still maybe probably change the interval to know whether you get the actual last cut point to be 30. So let's change it to what? To 4. So you can see it gives us maximum, last cut point, which is what? Maximum. And that is our maximum what? H here. Then you come to apply. Then you click on make labels. Make labels just to show how the categories will look like. So this is it. In my response, in my questionnaire, I don't have anything less than 15. So I just delete this first one. I will highlight it like this. Just highlight, shift, then you press your maybe right direction button, and you press your delete. So okay, it has been deleted. So you now have what? 15 to 18, 19 to 22, 23 to 26, 27 to 30. Then next thing you click on what? You click on OK. Then it has been created. By the time you come to the last what? That's the end part of the variable, you see it being generated. So this is by the time you analyze this, it will come out. So let me quickly analyze so that you see what I was trying to say. Because my time is almost running up. I will analyze both to know which one is actually what? Okay. So this is it. So see, this is the first one when it is not categorized, when it is still in on group form or uncategorized form. You can see it's actually very long. This one is even very small. Some can be as large as A4 paper. Then you can see the other part, which is very, this one is actually very okay. So this one you now go with at the end of the day for your results of the data analysis. So that bin is just, I think that's how the SPSS generates the okay, this how to categorize age. How to categorize age. So in short, that's the end of this session on Univariate. Then another thing I also like to tell you is that before you categorize this, you have to make sure that you cannot use this particular one. Now, when you have maybe your questionnaire, the age is already categorized 18 to 20, in that case, you cannot get mean and standard deviation. You cannot get using SPSS. I don't know whether there are other tools you can use anyway, but SPSS, or maybe probably have not got it to know it. But for me so far, use when you have a categorized age group in your questionnaire, you cannot get mean and standard deviation using SPSS. So what I normally use sometimes, instead of using calculator, ChatGPT is very wide these days. Just type the whole thing to ChatGPT to give you the mean and standard deviation straight up. So that's it. In case you have a categorized age group and you need mean and standard deviation, just use your AI. It will give you the mean and standard deviation. So now for the median and interquartile age, maybe next session if you have time, I will explain that. So that's the end of the session for that. Thank you very much.